I very strongly believe that Joseph Parker is the big test and the big challenge for Alexander Usyk that he has to take before he ends his career and calls it a day. And honestly, I think Joseph Parker has a great chance in this fight, if I'm being completely honest, against Alexander Usyk. It's one that's got to happen. And out of everyone, if I was to pick someone to beat him, I'm not saying he will, but if I was to pick someone, then I would go with Joseph Parker to possibly be that guy to be able to do it. And I've got my reasons. I mean, right now, he has got the best momentum in the heavyweight division. You know, he dominated Deontay Wilder, beat Zhilei Zhang in a, close fight. But let's be real. Most of the rounds, Joseph Parker was able to outbox Zhang outside of the rounds that he got dropped in. You know, he's then coming off a win over Martin Bakole, which, I mean, even though he came in on short notice, he still knocked him out in 2 rounds, someone as big as Martin Bakole. You know, I don't think even that way, no one was expecting him to win in the manner that he did. He's on the best form right now, and he scared Daniel Dubois off. So, you know, you've got to give him big credit for that. And I think as well, Joseph Parker has got a very, very, very good chin, and he's got very good recovery. You know, look at how well he recovered against Zhang when he got knocked down. He was never overly massively faced. He got back up and continued doing his thing. You know, he took massive shots off of Dillian White, recovered well when he got dropped, took massive shots off Derek Chisora. You know, took some decent shots of Anthony Joshua, but the referee kind of, ruined that fight quite a bit, though. But he's been in there with the heavy hitters of the division. He took some massive shots off of Joe Joyce before he eventually got knocked out there as well. So, you know, he's got good chin, he's got good recovery. His heart can't be questioned either. That is a big thing. And I think in order to try and beat someone like Alexander Usyk, I feel like you need fast hands, you need a tight guard. And I think Joseph Parker's got just that. I mean, if I'm being real, he's probably, other than Usyk, probably, the second quickest boxer in the heavyweight division, if we're being completely honest. I mean, possibly Fury above him as well. But hand speed, Parker is very quick. And I feel like Parker's been working on his power as well. And he comes forward with that. He has a nice tight guard at times nicely as well. I think, he does like to fight with his lead hand down quite a bit as well. But he's good at, controlling a fight with a lead hand battle. But that's going to be difficult to do against Alexander Usyk. But, Parker, I think, if he fights Usyk, it's going to kind of approach the fight how he did with Deontay Wilder with that high guard. That's why I think Parker is going to want to try and do in this fight. And Parker, I think, is very underrated movement as well, especially since he has been linking up with Andy Lee. I think his footwork is going to be able to, keep up a decent amount of time for a bit. And I feel like 12 round wise, there's not really many fighters that can go 12 rounds with Alexander Usyk and not be gassed out. AJ went 12 rounds with Usyk both times, but he was gassed very much towards the end. Tyson Fury, I think, slowed down as both of the fights went on, especially in the first fight. As the fight went on against Daniel Dubois, obviously Usyk was unable to stop him. Joseph Parker is very good at being able to keep up a very good pace for 12 rounds, and he's going to be able to hang in there. And I feel like he can be competitive with Usyk towards the end. Even if he's losing, I feel like he's still going to be able to be competitive with Alexander Usyk throughout 12 rounds, in my opinion. And he's got experience against, elite styles as well, Joseph Parker, but it's not the Alexander Usyk style, though. That's the thing. Usyk's a whole different kind of puzzle to figure out at the end of the day. But Usyk has been, sorry, not Usyk. Joseph Parker has been in there with all different kind of styles. So we've seen all different kind of styles. So that's a good thing as well. But he's not been up against the same old kind of plod forward guys. No, we've seen all different kind of styles like Joshua, White, Ruiz, Wilder, Zhang, different kind of styles. But Usyk, let's be real, he's got a completely different style overall, though, if we're being completely honest with you. But I feel like a big thing as well, though, is he just never mentally gives up on himself. You never see Joseph Parker mentally give up in a fight. And I feel like the Joe Joyce fight is a very good example of it. The Dillian White fight is a very good example of it. Even though he was losing the Dillian White fight and had been dropped twice, he still came back and knocked down Dillian White in the last round. He still kept on going. In the Joe Joyce fight, it was just do or die for Joseph Parker, no matter what. He kept on going until he got knocked out. And you look at guys like, I feel like Joshua at times struggles mentally in fights. I feel like Tyson Fury probably does as well, if we're being honest with you. I feel like that. I mean, Daniel Dubois, definitely. Joseph Parker's not going to shy away. Let's be completely honest. He's got an elite team around him. He has. And I feel like Parker can be very good at smothering his work, and you never know, that could come and disrupt the rhythm of Alexander Usyk as well. He's very good at being able to disrupt your rhythm. But again, Alexander Usyk is a completely different puzzle to solve. But he's very good with his feints. He's very good with his combinations, Parker. And when he wants to smother his work, he can. And I feel like against Usyk, that's going to be important to do. You need to try and smother your work against Usyk. And I feel like when Fury went up against him, I mean, he wasn't really able to do that. And Usyk didn't let him do that, but I also don't think Tyson Fury tried to do that enough either. Joseph Parker will. And that's a big thing as well. But it's going to be difficult to get around those counters of Alexander Usyk. But I feel like Parker's got very good boxing IQ where, his feints are going to be very important here, in my opinion. And he can be very unpredictable. And, Usyk's very good at being able to break his opponents down over time. But I think Joseph Parker's he's got a very tough body to break down. Usyk loves the body shots. And he's going to be very tough to break down Joseph Parker. He's very good at being able to withstand damage for a very, very, very bloody good amount of time. And that's the big thing as well. He's got nothing to lose, and that could play a factor mentally as well. He's got nothing to lose. The guy's going to be non-stop, Joseph Parker, if we're being completely honest. And I feel like his killer instinct as well. I mean, we've seen it recently. Look at how he was against Deontay Wilder. He saw openings and he went for them. He didn't get the finish, but he saw openings and had Deontay Wilder stunned and wobbled quite a lot in that fight. And to beat Alexander Usyk, you need some decent killer instinct. Well, you don't need decent killer instinct. You need elite killer instinct. And we haven't seen that yet in order to beat Usyk. Has Parker got that? Has he got elite killer instincts and power? I mean, he's a heavyweight boxer, but it's not like Joshua's or, White, for example. I mean, he hasn't fought White, but I mean, I'm just saying it has improved from Joseph Parker and he is bulking out, so it could be better here. And he's a completely different boxer to someone like Anthony Joshua. He's a completely different boxer to someone like Daniel Dubois, who've got killer instincts. But Joseph Parker is much smarter than them, and that could be what plays a bit of a difference here, in my opinion. So, yes. And overall, probably, I mean, other than Tyson Fury, not Daniel Dubois. Joseph Parker is probably overall the most complete heavyweight that Usyk has fought yet, in my opinion. So, and he is completely different to Tyson Fury overall as well. He's very different, in my opinion. Fury's got better attributes than Parker, but Parker's got some better attributes than Fury. So, yeah, overall, right now, I think Joseph Parker's the big challenge, and this has got to happen after Usyk beats Daniel Dubois in the rematch. Okay, that's what I think. Thanks for watching.